From the ancient architecturally sophisticated Roman villas to the small and dangerous ancient Roman daggers, and from the culturally rich Domus Aventino to the extraordinary Chalice of Vindalanda, we have a list of recent discoveries from the Roman Empire. These recent findings bring more evidence of the influence of the Roman Empire on our current civilization and everyday customs. From wonderful buildings to techniques of construction still employed today, the Romans were people of class and paid almost obsessive attention to detail. It is no wonder that some of the items on our list have captivated archaeologists so much. It has even changed the way they view the course of history, as many of these discoveries have surpassed the expectations of scientists and archaeologists. We start with the most dangerous. Number 7. Ancient Roman Dagger. Recently, an archaeology intern named Nico Kalman discovered a 2,000-year-old dagger that the ancient Romans used to battle against a Germanic tribe while working in Germany. The artifact, which dates back to the 1st century AD, was discovered in its sheath at the Haltern am See, or Haltern at the Lake, archaeological site. The heavily corroded weapon was unrecognizable at first, and it didn't appear to be much, but Nico's trained eye knew it was something important. It took 9 months to sandblast the sword and restore the elaborately decorated 13-inch blade to its former glory. It was most likely used between 37 BC and 14 AD during Rome's most humiliating military defeats. When Germanic tribes passed through, they slaughtered up to 20,000 Roman soldiers stationed at the military base at Halter. The elaborate appearance of the dagger alone indicates that it belonged to someone of high social standing. In fact, because of its size, it may have been more useful for display rather than action. The sword would have only been useful at close range, implying that it was most likely used as a last resort by its owner after all other available weapons failed to defeat the enemy. Despite the Roman military's long presence in the region, finds like this are uncommon. In fact, the dagger may be a one-of-a-kind finding. Who do you think the dagger belonged to? A high-ranking official, perhaps? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Number 6. Domus Aventino. While working on earthquake-proofing some luxury apartments in Rome in 2014, a group of workers unexpectedly discovered the buried roof of a lavish ancient villa estimated to be around an incredible 2,000 years old. For centuries, the ornately decorated structure was most likely buried. The Domus Aventino, as it is now known, was most likely owned by wealthy people and had changed hands several times over the years. Mosaics from the 1st century BC, frescoes, Latin inscriptions, bowls, and amphorae were among the first discoveries. 6 years of excavations yielded a hammer key hairpin, spoon remnants of a Roman Republic defensive wall, and stone tower remnants dating back to the 8th century BC. The mosaics feature stunning images composed of geographic shapes, a green and red parrot, and a large pot with grapevines growing from it, according to Smithsonian Magazine. While the Domus Aventino is now underground, it was once located on one of Rome's 7 hills near the Circus Maximus, which hosted chariot races and gladiator fights. After a century of attempting to level its sinking floor, the house was eventually abandoned. The Domus Aventino sounds like an amazing place to visit. We wonder what colorful characters this beautiful house must have seen. Number 5. Tolonium Marbles. A collection of over 90 ancient Greek and Roman marble works was recently unpacked and displayed at the Palazzo Caffarelli. They are part of the 620-piece Torlonia collection, widely regarded as one of the world's greatest private classical art collections. People were finally allowed to see them after years of being hidden away. The aristocratic family began collecting in the 19th century when Prince Alessandro Torlonia amassed a collection of Roman artifacts throughout the family's estates. The prince built a museum for the collection in 1884, and it closed in 1976. The sculptures were placed in storage, where they had remained until now. Among the most notable sculptures are a marble goat and a marble maritime scene with remnants of its original color. The latter demonstrates that white marble statues were frequently painted and colored in the past. The planned exhibition is an example of a growing trend in recent years of private firms assisting the public sector by making monuments and artifacts available for public inspection. Bulgari, a premium company founded in Rome in 1884, funded the restoration of the Tolonium collection, making it available for the first time in over 44 years. If you know of any other interesting historical facts of the Roman Empire and culture we should do a video on, let us know in the comments section. Number 4. The Vindalanda Chalice. Hadrian's Wall was an ancient Roman defense barrier in northern England. Archaeologists have found a graffiti-covered lead chalice from the 5th century. The chalice is covered in religious symbols such as crosses, a priestly figure, angels, a fish, and a whale, and it is said to be the first known example of Christian graffiti on an antique. The chalice was discovered in Britain and was unearthed in 14 pieces in the adjacent Vindalanda Roman fort, a notable European archaeological site. Archaeologists unearthed the foundations of a 5th or 6th century church, which is rather extraordinary, according to the director of excavations, Dr. Andrew Burley, who claimed that nothing in northwestern Europe came close to it. Burley also remarked that the church ruins were a remarkable find. During her initial dig, an Australian volunteer called Leslie Walker unearthed the first chalice fragment, which piqued her interest in returning to the site to learn more. Researchers are continuing to investigate the chalice, which demonstrates that certain things we deem bothersome or disturbing now, like graffiti, may occasionally provide unique insight into the past. Which do you find more interesting, the chalice or the church? Number 3. Armor from the Battle of Tolberg. In September, archaeologists excavating in Kalkresi, Germany, uncovered a nearly complete piece of Roman armor. The cuirass, which comprises a breastplate and a backplate, dates back to 9 BC, when Germanic tribes annihilated 3 Roman legions. Researchers say it is the oldest and most complete Roman armor ever recovered, and they believe it was worn by a soldier who took part in the Battle of Tolberg forest, which ended in the Romans' crushing loss. An estimated 15,000 to 20,000 Roman troops were killed during the conflict, which is often regarded as one of the empire's biggest and most humiliating military disasters. Throughout the experience, the Germanic soldiers assaulted the Romans guerrilla style, and it definitely helped their leader, Arminius, a former Roman citizen who was well versed in Roman military technique. The crew discovered a Roman shrew's fiddle along with the armor, a device intended to bind a person's hands around their neck, indicating that the person wearing the armor had been ritually slaughtered. According to the latest finding, the workmanship of Roman armor was superior to previously thought, and its designs altered through time. Why do you think the Germanic tribe could defeat the well-structured and organized Roman army? Number 2. Glassified brain cells. Recent research describes the discovery of categorized brain cells in a Mount Vesuvius victim. And yes, it is glassified, as in glass. Don't worry, we'll explain. One of the results, published in the journal, reveals the presence of recognizable brain regions inside a black, glassy substance discovered in the skull of a young man who perished in the volcanic explosion that destroyed Herculaneum and Pompeii. In 79 AD, the eruption's high heating and fast cooling caused the man's brain tissue to turn glass-like, effectively freezing the neurons in place. The Herculaneum, located at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, was totally covered in ash quickly after the cataclysmic eruption approximately 2,000 years ago. Some biological material, including at least one brain, appears to have been preserved due to the combination of heating and rapid burial that preceded. The newly researched man's brain was discovered face down on a bed. He died in his 20s in the Collegium Augustalium, or College of the Augustalis, which served as the official center of a cult dedicated to Emperor Augustus. Researchers employ a variety of techniques to detect and confirm the presence of the gentleman's brain cells, as well as to determine their chemical composition. It's unusual for archaeologists to come across preserved brain tissue like this, and a few previous finds show it happens. Number 1. Valeria Novi. The well-organized fortified Roman city of Valeria Novi, located around 31 miles north of Rome, became buried and forgotten over time. Archaeologists employed ground-penetrating radar to detect and map the ancient town's buried ruins in recent research. The team's results, which were published in the Journal of Antiquity, demonstrate the history of the settlement from its earliest occupation in 241 BC until its abandonment about 700 AD during the early medieval period. Although physical evidence was previously fairly elusive, the historical record makes Valeria Novi well known. There was a market, a temple, a public bathing facility, a monument, and a network of water pipes in the city. Its facilities were far more complex than researchers had anticipated. Valeria Novi is smaller than Pompeii and has a distinct layout from other cities of the time. Based on the comprehensive quality of the results, ground-penetrating radar appears to be a potential technique to study hitherto unknown ancient sites across the world. While this technology is not new, it is clearly more advanced than it used to be and will assist archaeologists in seeing ancient ruins in regions where excavating is just not possible or simply cannot happen now. And if you enjoyed this video, we have another like it of the world's scariest archaeological discoveries ever found in ice from global warming.